Yeah, so I'm Ryan Herbst, Chief Strategist at UnifiedCommunications.com, and I would like to welcome all of you to a special online event focused on ways that you can unlock new experiences and enhance device management with the new Teams Meeting Room Pro license. And I am joined once again by Jimmy Vaughn, who is a partner technical specialist and Teams aficionado at Microsoft, good friend of Unified Communications. Jimmy, exciting times. Welcome back. I'm super excited to talk about the Pro license with you today.
Thanks for inviting me, Ryan. And this is a hot topic, so we got a lot to talk about, and we got a lot of things to sort of clear up, I think, as well.
No question. So yeah, before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone that Q&A is enabled. We're using Teams webinar, and so this is not the chat. This is the Q&A panel, and you can start submitting questions at your leisure. We've reserved the last 10 to 15 minutes of the event for taking questions. But again, feel free to start submitting them now. For background, and I've got some slides that I'm going to put up that we can kind of talk through, so I think that'll be helpful. But yeah, I thought, Jimmy, maybe we just start with a little background on why Microsoft is changing the licensing structure from what we previously had. We had Teams Room Standard and Teams Room Premium, and now we have Pro along with a basic option for some customers, but really Pro being the right fit for almost all customers. And yeah, just wanted maybe as a good starting point to talk about why was Microsoft interested in making this change?
I think it was really from feedback that we had from partners, from customers, from everybody in the community. Was this is a difficult conversation to have. Where does this license get me to on a support side? And where does this license get me to on a support side? So when we started to look at, okay, well, the challenge here is we've got two different license types. Really, with the Teams Room Premium, your offering was the management portal, the Teams Room Premium portal. And that was a support side that really was a difficult conversation to have. Where does Microsoft support live, and where does the partner support live, and what is responsible on the end user side? And then with Standard and Premium, you really got the same feature set. So what we did was we looked at it and we said, there's a whole bunch of value in a lot of the things that we're doing in Teams rooms that advance that meeting capability, that advance the idea that I'm in a shared space. I'm no longer on a personal device. And as we looked at it, we wanted to make that conversation easier for customers, for partners, for everybody involved, so that there wasn't an explanation. I know that you have a chart there to say, this is what's in basic and this is what's in pro. And I really, you and I talked about it before, I really dislike charts, because the minute that you put up a chart is the minute that somebody says, well, you forgot to put this on the chart.
Right.
So when we have this conversation and we're talking about the new structure of meeting room licenses, we really want to show the value of the Pro license. We don't want to talk about, well, what is missing here, what is here. I think you said it perfectly when you said customers should really be looking at the value of Pro and what they get for that Pro license fee. And I think that really sort of opens up. And I think we're going to get into a lot of the conversation
for
today
sure. Yeah.
about where that value is.
No question. Yeah, I think one of the reasons I just wanted to put this one up for a moment is just, we kind of know where we're coming from on the former side here, and kind of where we are currently, which is moving to Pro. We're not going to spend a lot of time, I think, today on Basic. I think Basic is pretty limited, at least for at least customers that Unified Communications is working with, in terms of functionality, experience, and management capabilities. Pro is really where they're going, and so it's on here. It's a discussion. I think folks can kind of look that up. It's I guess if you're looking for something super simple and you're an SMB, you might have some use for it. But I would say for most customers, and particularly even for an SMB that's really looking to lean in from a hybrid perspective, they want to make sure this stuff's always working. They want to provide the best experiences. I would argue that Pro makes sense even for them. But
yeah. And I think it's really important to show people that it's not just this license and this license. There's a feature set that is different between these two licenses. So just be, it was prior I could apply even e-licenses or A licenses to machines that were in shared spaces. That was not the intention of those licenses, but people were doing it anyway. That now comes into this, okay, I need to license these devices appropriately to get the right feature sets, because without that right license, these devices will not work in the way that they were designed to do.
Agree. And I think a couple of noteworthy things here when we start looking at just where kind of Pro begins to take over. So phone system, I guess, built into the license where I'm able to add, PSTN calling, which is super important. I think most organizations, the last thing we want is to have this great new Teams room system and a legacy conference phone sitting on the desk. We want all of that encapsulated in one system. And so calling, even ability for me to walk into a room and call Jimmy on his cell phone. We still have to add a calling plan, but the phone system capability is just built in, right?
And that is the idea of the Pro licenses. We are giving you everything that you should need inside of this one single license. Again, making that conversation with people much easier to have, and not saying, oh, well, if we stack this or we stack this or we stack this. Those are difficult conversations and complex when you're talking about an enterprise rollout, or you're talking more than 15 to 20 rooms. That's where all of this sort of comes into play, is let's make that conversation even easier to have.
No question. And then fundamentally, having Intune in the picture, super important for a lot of organizations in terms of what they may want to do above and beyond. The Pro portal and some of the kind of back-end functions, can leverage that, and also having Azure Active Directory P1 as part of the license. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm more excited about talking about functionality and what you get. And let's kind of drive forward a little bit and just talk about, I guess, from an innovation perspective. Maybe we'll start with kind of features and function experiences that come with this license, and then we can talk about the device management elements, which are also super compelling that come with it. And some of this is just some of these things are really important. So I think, and again, we'll spend a little less time on the device management side because we've got some specific slides, and we'll even do a little demo of the Teams Room Managed Service portal. But you can see here just some core functionality, like the remote PTZ control. Maybe not huge for everyone, but that's functionality that comes with Pro. The ability to engage with chat and loop components. This one's pretty big, and I think maybe we can talk about how that's kind of going to tie into the front row experience, which we'll talk more about, which is also a really important Pro feature.
Yeah, the loop components are really something that we're excited about, because it really brings all of that added collaboration. We say it all the time inside of meetings. Teams rooms are really more than just collaboration, and collaboration is more than just what you see and hear. And these loop components really bring in that added flexibility to the meetings themselves. When we were working with people and saying, how can we make meetings better? One of the things that constantly happened inside of meetings that we were doing remotely was chat would happen on the side, and it was a completely different meeting that might be going on inside of chat. But when you got to those shared spaces, when you got into those spaces that had a room system, you were not engaging with that chat. So as that was going on, you may have to say, oh, well, let me go look and let me do this automatically. So chat bubbles, actually having places where we can put these loop components like agenda and chat and other items that might come up during the meeting itself. That's an important part of the meeting. That, again, you just want to look at the value that you're getting with these systems. Being able to deliver all of this in one place is really where that license comes into play.
Agree. Yeah, some other really cool things. So room check-in with Teams panels. Teams panels are just phenomenal. I think I wasn't always a huge fan of just the scheduling panel concept. It was a lot to invest, specifically for. I think for a lot of organizations, they love the idea of free busy and what meeting's happening and book the room. But I just love how much further panels go. And one of these features is this ability to release the room if somebody doesn't check in, or I think even now hardware support. For a sensor that they could do that. So that's really helpful. We've all had that really frustrating experience where we booked a room and only to learn later that, or we tried to book a room, it was unavailable, and the person who booked it never showed up, and that room was just scheduled for for an extended period of time with nobody in it.
Yeah, and I think panels really have their place inside of the ecosystem, not only on rooms that have technology inside, but even the rooms that will eventually get technology inside. If you can have an understanding of your real estate and facilities and all of your rooms and how they're being used, that gives people an understanding about how they're going back to work. And like you said, having these sensors and the ability to see, oh, this person showed up for this meeting or this person didn't. Ryan, you and I have talked about for years the idea of ghost meetings, people not showing up for the meeting that they might have booked all day long. And that conference room now becomes more expensive in this idea of hybrid work and being able to actually release that room if somebody didn't come in. You said room check-in with the Teams panel, being able to go up to the panel, say, I'm here, or having that automatically done with the sensor inside of the ceiling, maybe having that understanding that that room is truly being used, or if nobody does show up, being able to release that room so that somebody that is in the facility might be able to actually use that room and be able to conduct a meeting themselves, where previously they would look at it and say, it's booked, I'm not even going over there.
Totally agree. And then layouts. I think just this ability to span participants across two displays. This is a really powerful kind of fundamental layout of a split gallery. And so I think this is baseline requirement for a lot of folks. But this is this is part of what's included in Pro, not in Basic. Together mode, large gallery, and then we'll talk in a moment, about some hybrid specific layouts like Front Row.
And layouts are important. They're important when you walk into a room to be able to hit that single touch join and have an effective meeting, right? You and I talk about it all the time, these ideas about BYOD and bring your own device, where people will bring their laptop into the room, and their laptop is not necessarily meant for a shared space, meant for that. So what do they have to do? Well, they might have to go to their display options. They might have to split this out. And then they figure out that they can't actually do what they want to do. And then the meeting just is a challenge of technical, hey, can I figure out how to actually split these screens so that content is over here and people are over here, or maybe content is above the gallery because I want that eye contact view for Front Row. So having these purpose-built devices, having the ability to actually walk into the room, not struggle with the technology, but hit that single touch join, have the technology work for you and give you an effective meeting, that's really where we're looking at these Teams rooms and where we're looking at all of the features that are inside of these licenses that we're looking at.
Got it. Just want to let everyone know, I know I mentioned Q&A pane. I don't think it was active the moment I said that. It is now active. So if you have questions, please don't hesitate to utilize that Q&A pane. Again, it's not the chat, it's the Q&A pane that you should see as a feature inside Teams webinar. So yeah, moving on to some of the hybrid features, and this is and I think it's fair to say that you've got kind of a feature list now that's associated with Pro, but in terms of ongoing innovation, this is going to be attached to the Pro license. Is that fair, Jim?
Correct. What you're going to see is really the innovations that everybody gets excited about, that everybody wants to see. Those are only in the Pro license. The Basic is there, and the Basic is there just to, all right, let's try it out. Let's see if we can do the single touch join. But that's where your innovation really stops. Innovation is happening on the Pro license, and to have these features, you need that Pro license. And that's why we want to talk about the value that's here. Everything that you're talking about. We're going to talk about IntelliFrame camera support, where the idea that we're bringing meeting equity, where people will get their own squares inside of the meetings, being able to intelligently identify who that person is, and people recognition, intelligent speaker support, and even the Surface Hub and things like that. And you've got that that signature Microsoft Teams room inside of the picture and the depiction there, having that ability to actually feel like you're sitting across the table from remote participants, thus reducing the fatigue of all the meetings that you're in. That's the kind of thing that we want to bring the value to.
Agreed. Yeah, so I think it's super important. And maybe we stop and we just underscore a little bit with IntelliFrame. So I think, top of customer list right now, how do I create more engagement in my shared spaces? How do I make this feel for remote participants and folks in the room like a very similar experience? And so how do I bring that out of meeting experience into the room? We hear that all the time. And so IntelliFrame is paramount to how we get there. And so, without going, we could spend our whole discussion just
The
talking
whole
about
hour.
the nuances of IntelliFrame and how it's going to work, with edge devices and the cloud, and there's a great story there, and we do a lot of these types of events, and we dig into that intelligent story in IntelliFrame regularly. But I think this is important. If you want that experience, that's part of the pro license. As Jimmy said, intelligent speaker, being able to add attribution and to a shared space, and to be able to have a transcript reflect what somebody said in a shared space. That's super important. There's other enhancements coming to on the video side in terms of names and all of that world. Driven by this pro license. And I think, as you said, this Surface Hub and the coordinated ability to bring a digital canvas into our meetings, or to take a physical whiteboard and attach a content camera and to leverage that magic whiteboard functionality in a meeting. These are all super, super critical building blocks for how we take this experience and we make it interactive both in the room and with our remote participants, and Pro helps us get there.
Correct. 100%. We want to make meetings better because we're all in too many meetings. And you spoke about it before, having that attribution. It's not only important what is said inside of a meeting, it's important who said it. And with things that surround Microsoft, like Microsoft Viva and other things, I get an email every morning that actually says these are the meetings that you have. These are the PowerPoints that are there. Oh, you were mentioned inside of this other meeting that you did not attend. Those are the kind of things that we're trying to bring to light, and we're trying to make sure that everybody has better, valuable meetings. And the reason why we're saying that is because, Ryan, you and I have back-to-back meetings. We might be double booked, we might be triple booked, and you cannot attend every single meeting. But what if those ones that you're not attending, I know that I've gone back to transcripts in the past and I hit Control F and I look for my name. And if that attribution of somebody speaking is an anonymous conference room, it becomes difficult. Well, who actually mentioned me? What
Right.
is the power of this message that they're trying to assign me a task? Is it leadership that's trying to assign me a task? Or is this somebody that's trying to get out of doing their own work and actually assigning me something? You don't know that. So like I said, it's as important what is said as who said it. And you've got to have that attribution. So being able to actually take that into the intelligent speaker category and bring that to light about not conference room 123, but Ryan Herbst or Jimmy Vaughn said this, that becomes now valuable inside of the room as well.
No question. Yeah, I think all of these are, we're on this voyage to continue to evolve and to bring the hybrid experience to the next level. And that leading edge kind of functionality is all of the things that we're talking about, and the futures that are coming that are going to be part of what you get, I guess, as you're investing in Pro. So on the management side, I think we got I'm going to skip this one because we've got even some more kind of a deeper dive here, because so that's the functionality piece today. There's some additional little features we didn't mention. We wanted to kind of touch on the high level of what you get, which is really, again, it's the innovation, it's the multi-display experience, it's all of the unique and new and exciting functionality that you keep hearing about with Teams rooms. And it's the roadmap for all of the great innovation to come. The other side of what you get is an enhanced ability to manage and scale and operate your environment. And I would argue, if there's one thing, I'm excited about all of this stuff, but I'm really excited about customers getting better tooling and capabilities to manage at scale, because I know this has been one of the areas that the customers have been challenged, and they've how do I manage updates? How do I get some more elevated reporting? How do I get more proactive alerting? And so all of that comes. And so I think we spend a little time here that we'll do a demo, and we can answer questions. But room environments can be complex. I think the experience with Teams rooms is simple. We know that. You walk in, it's click to join, everybody loves it. But making sure that if one piece of this is malfunctioning, that we know before it impacts a meeting, that we get an alert, hopefully before we have a problem, we can go remediate it. We're not waiting for our users to go encounter an issue. We have to get to a proactive place. And there's a lot behind the scenes for it to think about. So, it could be a issue with a display that lost power or somehow lost connection, or we have a camera or a mic issue or a speaker issue, or something related to the application, the login, a password change. There's numerous things, obviously, that could create a scenario that could impact one of our rooms. And we need a single pane of glass, a dashboard where we can really manage this and have good insights. And again, hopefully can't eliminate any problem from ever happening, but minimize the impact to meetings.
And not only that, Ryan, we have the stat, and we share the stat a lot in talks that we do. 8% of meeting rooms are currently video enabled. That means 1 out of 10 rooms is currently enabled for video inside of an organization. Now that is an unbelievable stat, but that does not cut it anymore, because now we need more rooms to be video enabled. And think about the challenges that many organizations have had with that one room. That one room gets very, very complex. Now think about, all right, I've now got to enable more rooms, and I've got to do this on a scale that's larger than we've ever done before. And that's where partners like Unified Communications and this Pro Portal come into play. They can help you down that path of exactly what are the challenges that you need to do, and what is the technology that I'm actually going to put inside of these rooms. We've seen people fail with their attempts to, oh, well, I can just do this here. I can put a speaker puck in here, or I can just put a camera in here. And what happens when somebody takes that camera out of that room? Or what happens when somebody removes the puck from that room? What happens when all of these different disparate systems fall down? Well, you become chaos. And that's really where this portal sort of helps you, is to manage that chaos and come through and say, this is how rooms can be successfully deployed, not only in single rooms, that 1 out of 10, but on multiple rooms, that 9 out of 10, that 10 out of 10. We can help bring that into a situation where you're not looking at, I've got 200 rooms inside of this. Maybe I have 5 room types, which means that I have 20 rooms inside of this system that I have to worry about, and I have to manage and deploy this. So the Pro Management Portal is really something that you said you're very excited about. I'm excited about it too, because it really gives you that roadmap of how do I get to this, and look at it not from a 200 room deployment, but from a more manageable solution size.
Agreed. And yeah, I guess at its core, 3 kind of tenets here. One is the Pro Management Portal, and we're going to dive deeper into its capabilities and do a little demo. But behind the scenes, there's this AI-powered platform, right, that is looking for issues, trying to remediate issues, offering suggestions on what issues could be for something that can't be auto-remediated, and gathering data for insights and reporting and planning, and evolving over time. Right? I think it's super exciting that in addition to just kind of dashboards and alerting, there's some intelligence behind this.
Yes.
And then, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the AI side is really sort of something that's exciting. I know that artificial intelligence is something that is probably new to a lot of people, but it's really the idea of training a solution to say, hey, this is something that happens, and when this happens, these are the things that sort of lead up to this. And if these are the things that lead up to it, we can now give suggestions that say, hey, we see something happening. We might not know exactly what it is, but you may want to go look at this, because maybe your camera might not be working. Maybe your microphone might not be working. Maybe something inside of the room is not as expected, because the challenge comes into play. You said it before. When you walk into a room, if you're the one that needs to report to the staff and says, this room is not working, that becomes a failure inside of the organization side. But if we can give you the alert, you may want to look at this so that the next person that goes to the room has a working system. That now becomes a successful implementation of what we view these shared spaces being.
No question. And then lastly, this whole platform around the portal is designed to be partner involved. In a easier way than it is today to involve partners, with Teams Admin Center. So you can provide delegated access to partners in an anonymized way. You can decide which rooms a partner manages. It could be that one partner manages some rooms, another partner manages others, or internally organization is managing some of the rooms and partners. So it allows for that. We'll talk a little more here at Unified Communications. We have a managed service offering built on top of this Pro license and that leverages Pro Portal. It's kind of it is how we help customers. And we'll talk a little bit about that idea, but Pro Portal is built to be able to involve a partner. And just wanted to make sure that was clear. Yeah, I'm not going to spend a ton of time here because we're going to show some of this stuff. I want to make sure we have a little bit of time for live demo. But planning and inventory are part of this Pro Portal. So in addition to being able to see what I have, there's an ability for me to create standards and to push out those standards and to bring new rooms online that I could then involve a partner in. There's the monitoring and operations piece, update management, which may be at the top of my personal list around some of the goodness that comes with this Pro Portal, having this kind of ring-based software update framework that includes the operating system, if the attached USB peripherals on a Teams room on Windows, for example, the BIOS of the compute, if it's Surface Hub, if it's Teams room on Android, which is coming in, it looks like in Q1 of next year. But it could be any of that. And then certainly the application, the core Teams room application, you're running on the device, the underlying Windows OS. Like there's a lot of pieces there to manage, and to be able to do that in a ring-based way, and to make sure we kind of fence off our executive environment so they get the update last, and our lab can get it first. And there's just all these things were possible before, but they weren't easy. And so Pro Portal really makes them easy, and it's just they're kind of built right out of the gate. And then enhanced reporting and insights beyond what you could see today in Teams Admin Center. Additionally, I guess maybe fair to talk about what devices are supported today. And the Teams room on Windows devices, along with their attached peripherals, are supported. Surface Hub, V1 and 2S, both supported. And I think there's a slide here. We'll talk a little bit about some of the unique functionality that Pro Portal is able to surface, no pun intended, with Surface Hub. And then Android, certainly a really important piece of this discussion in the portfolio, is slated for Q1 of calendar year 2023.
Yeah, and I think it's important. This is why you and I, when we do any speeches, we tell people stay with certified devices. 100% stay with certified devices, because as they become certified, they're going to be moved into this Pro Management Portal and get the features that we do. If you've got a non-certified device, we're not going to be able to manage that the way that we do the certified devices.
Yeah, and Teams displays, it looks like, are on the feature roadmap to come in as a part of this in the future. And we know displays are increasingly popular for hot desking and for other features. And so exciting to see all of this kind of coming into this platform. On the planning and inventory side, again, we'll show a little demo here, but you have this ability to go see at a really granular level, what's happening inside your rooms, and you can. Maybe we'll skip this. I'll show a brief demo of it. Reporting and operations, and so just I guess knowing that this AI and this tool is going 24/7, 365. Super important, and again, that we're in a more proactive versus a reactive kind of posture as it relates to support. And that this system is able to to detect issues and remediate issues on its own in a lot of cases, and over time is going to be able to do even more of that. Right? It detects issue on tenant A, and it's able to resolve something and apply that in tenant B and tenant C. It could reboot a device if it wasn't being used in hours, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think it's really important, you as an organization might have 20 or 30 rooms, but the data that's gathered is worldwide data to say, okay, there might be a specific issue with a certain piece of hardware. You may not know it on your 20 or 30 rooms, but as that data is gathered and as that data is actually analyzed, it can be attributed to specific pieces of hardwares. And like I said, the portal itself can actually take remediation actions without any interruption, so that you, as that 20 or 30 room customer, don't see it, but it's a worldwide effort where everything is being brought in, and that detailed insight around everybody's room gives us that insight to be able to make decisions intelligently.
Yeah. One of the bullets on here is that, yeah, if something OEM specific surfaces inside this data, and Microsoft's seeing that across the environment, that there's mechanisms for that to get funneled, directly to the OEM, without it even being a case or a ticket, or and so yeah, having analysis of not just our own tenant, but knowing that my tenant and everybody else's tenant is contributing data around reliability and issues and reporting, and that the AI is monitoring this is exciting. ServiceNow integration, and certainly really important to folks that the Pro Portal can be integrated to open cases with ServiceNow and to close cases once they're resolved. And so yeah, I think really important for a lot of organizations to be able to involve this type of a system with their ITSM platform. Health signals, and so yeah, I think if you're familiar with Teams Admin Center, you've seen some of this. But there's some kind of enhanced availability of signals here. It's also faster. Like I've noticed that inside Pro Portal, changes to signals are reported, very not real time, but very close to real time, faster than we see them reported in Teams Admin Center today. There's also an ability to update and change, certain configurations. And then with Surface Hub, which we talked about, which is really important part of the hybrid kind of portfolio for a lot of organizations. Being able to see Surface Hub and manage it through same pane of glass, important, but even some additional goodness here, like able to see the battery levels of the pen, or the battery if we're using the APC battery attached to the 50-inch Surface Hub 2S. And then some additional kind of data being gathered that can be put into reporting on how our Surface Hubs are being used. And then managed updates, which again, I think this is a ring-based structure, going to show a little bit of how it works. But yeah, we could set this up with as many rings as we want and delay them by days or weeks, and make sure that that any update that comes out that we're able to test and validate before it hits our production rooms, and even once it hits kind of our production rooms, that we could delay further before it hits our, let's say, our highest priority in executive spaces.
And we always we always have customers that come in and say, how do I manage my updates? Because, Microsoft Teams Rooms is one of those systems that actually does a lot of updating on itself, but they still want to take action and sort of hold back some updates, or like you said, have a ring-based system where critical updates get applied to a lab system first, and then they're rolled out across the different rings. That's an important part of this portal, and I think one of the most important parts that I've seen.
Agree. Reporting and insights, kind of elevated reporting here, which we'll see. And so, yeah, I guess from a summary perspective, it's there's a lot here of goodness. When we think about, I guess before we go into live demo, we think about the functional capabilities and innovation that are both available today and what's coming, and then this management capabilities. This is putting customers in a much better spot, I think, in terms of ability to create the experiences that they want, but also to manage and scale those experiences.
Yeah, and I think it's important to sort of go back to the first, bring everybody back to the first slide. What's the value in the Pro license? I think we've just shown all of the value that you get from this Pro license, and having that conversation with customers, with partners, with everybody involved in this step gets really, really easy when you show them the value that is coming.
Agree. And we talked a little bit about this AI-based operations. And this one's important, I guess, before we kind of depart into demo, that there is this journey, right, that is underway to combine the Pro Portal and the Teams Admin Center experiences. Because today there could be certain things I do in one and certain things in the other. And so certainly it's the goal, right, to bring these together into one unified management tool.
Yeah, and Microsoft has made a significant investment in engineering resources to bring this to life. So over the next year, the same way, Ryan, you and I have seen Teams Rooms get new features, new updates every single month, every single week, every single time that we sort of fire up a system. that's going to now happen inside of this management portal, and that slide is really sort of important because we want people to see Teams Admin Center. We want that close integration for your device management system, to have that close integration so that you've got that one place you can look at, that one place that your partner can look at, and you have a unified solution to actually managing all of your devices in one place.
Agreed. Yeah, I thought we'd just mention again that the Pro Portal and this whole concept is designed to be partner involved. Sorry, words are hard apparently this afternoon. That here at UC Unified Communications, we have what we call our UC Care offering for Teams rooms, and it is a managed service offering built on top of this Pro Portal and license. It allows us through delegated access to be able to help manage rooms, to react to incidents, and to even add on things like last mile or on-site type coverage optionally, as well as to involve our subject matter experts in kind of real-time incident resolution. And so this is certainly something in our follow-up. Anybody who is interested in learning more about UC Care for Teams rooms, we're happy to provide information. I know we'll talk in a moment that we're offering a strategy session just around hybrid meeting rooms and device management to anyone who's attending this webinar. And this is certainly something that we could talk about during that. And so with that, let's go. We don't have a ton of time, but let's do a little kind of brief peek into the Teams Room Pro Management portal. All right. Great. You seeing my Pro Management portal, Jimmy?
Yes, I am. It says, "Hi, Ryan."
Yeah. So one, I can just sit on the home screen. I think it's important. One, there's some office hours here where there is a meeting that you can join and learn more about what's coming, or share feedback, ask live questions. It mentions that this "What's New" section is really important. It mentions, like I can see that the coordinated meetings tab was added so that I could configure that through the Pro Portal, or changes, features, functionalities that have been implemented show up in "What's New," and then updates. You can see that there was a Intel BIOS update that's being pushed out, and so that type of thing is shown on the homepage, where I can see information on new updates that are being released, that are going to be pushed through the software update framework. I can understand what they're fixing, why they're being implemented, and I think noteworthy that the team these updates get tested specifically before they go through this portal as well, and so it's kind of another check on top of kind of the standard process. But these updates are managed by the team that owns this tool. And they get tested as they're deployed through this process, in addition to just being put out, let's say, by a manufacturer. We'll start with kind of a room view. So you can see that I have 3 rooms that, and one of them I've suppressed. It looks like it's something that, and normally on it's something we were just testing with it's got one of our demo accounts on it. It's not a real meeting room. It's probably something sitting on a bench somewhere. But you can see that there's 2 rooms here, Angular Momentum and Redshift. I can see that 2 of them are healthy, one of them is suppressed. I can see if something needs action, so I get this kind of summary view of my rooms. And if I have something unhealthy, I can immediately click to that. I can sort by my suppressed rooms, or rooms that may be in an onboarding stage, or my healthy rooms, or all of my rooms. I can immediately see here that something needs action, and I can go into this Angular Momentum room, and kind of looking at this, you can see my signals in terms of health. I can see prior tickets that were open. I can see that my light, I'm going to just adjust here, is blocking one of these. I can see that the alert that it's telling me here is that I have default credentials on this device, and so it's suggesting that the room is healthy, it's still functioning, but as a best practice, we want to change that. And so an incident was created to remind me that we need to change our default credentials on this room. So I can click into this and see this message. And if this was like an intermittent issue, like let's say our camera was coming on and off, occasionally we're getting reports of that. We could go look at kind of history and see this kind of coming on and off. In this instance, it's persistent. The idea that these credentials need to be changed. But I'm able, you'll see there's a lot of ways within this portal to get to the same areas, but I can see generally my status here, and that things are healthy. I just need to go change these default credentials. While I'm here, I could look at the settings of this room. So I can look at some of the basics around the agent version and IP address and OS version. And I can see that this is a Lenovo device. And I can then look specifically at the account that's associated with this device. I can configure a lot of the same settings that I can in front of a device. So if I wanted to turn the front row experience on, and I want the default experience to be gallery view or front row for this room, screen sharing, enabling third-party meetings like Zoom and WebEx. A lot of this functionality is what you would have to go in front of the device ordinarily to do. And some of this, if you're familiar with Teams Admin Center, you see there as well. I can look at peripherals and make changes to peripherals or something like default volume. I could select a theme. If we had a custom theme that we'd already uploaded, I could select that, or I can pick one of the default themes. I can look at activity in terms of logs, so we can I can generate collect logs. You can see here. If I did that, those would show up in a couple of minutes, and then we could download those. I could reboot this device if I wanted to. Really important from a security perspective. Windows Defender is part of what is within the realm from a management perspective of what these tools and the AI is thinking about. I think that's not something that we talked about before, Jimmy, but it's a really important one to make sure that that we're leveraging the Defender capability that's on these devices, and that's being actively managed.
Yeah, and it's important to also say these are not normal PCs. They shouldn't be treated as such, which is why this portal is really, really important. It gives you that visibility into what this purpose-built device really has.
Agreed. Here you can see the ring, and we'll take a look in settings at how we set up rings, but this is in our general ring. I can see updates that have recently been pushed out. I could look at prior updates if I wanted to. I could see what group this is in, and then I can look at some of the call performance data for this room. And what's interesting here is if you're familiar with Teams Admin Center, this data is coming from Teams Admin Center, but it's anonymized. So as a partner, if I went and looked at this this call that had 10 folks on it, I can see the room, I can see users. But I can't see individual names. If I had the right access, I could link from here to the unanonymized data in Teams Admin Center. But this is really important, I guess, from a security perspective, to get an organization security team comfortable with getting a partner involved in device management. The way this is architected, this really allows for that. All right. So in addition to room view, I have an incident view, which may be where I may want to start. We could see that I just have one active incident that is a security-related incident, and its default credentials on the device that we just looked at. If I click this, we'd be right back in kind of the same place. I could also look at issues that were resolved over time, 30, 60, 90 days. I could record an issue, and again, this is recording it for ourselves. This isn't opening a ticket specifically. With Microsoft, I could do that through 365 or through my Premier agreement, or just how I would do that ordinarily. But I could record this issue as an issue that we're going to track and manage, in the portal. We have extensive reporting here, both around health and usage, and I can take a look at tickets by category, tickets that related to hardware, tickets that related to security, tickets that related to the account or to a display or a configuration setting, or an issue that we recorded on our own through that ability to create our own kind of internal cases. I can look at health trends over time, both for my room and for the average health of customers across all tenants, get a sense of how am I tracking and kind of benching. And again, for us, we create a lot of incidents, so we're not the best kind of judge of this. I mean, our data is a little bit skewed because we have both a bunch of testing and changing and devices that are unreleased and things that we create from an AO perspective just so that we can show incidents. But I can also look at my most reliable or my least reliable rooms. I can look at room history in terms of total rooms. And then I can go deeper just specifically as it relates to something like room health. So I could go into that angular momentum room. I can look at its health over time. I can see that this room is 90% kind of healthy. I can see if there's issues that still need to be resolved. I can see if there was so there could have been issues, but did they impact a meeting? This is really important. So I can see that we have a ticket, it hasn't impacted a meeting. Still needs to be dealt with. That's our default credentials. Again, I can go look at another view of kind of the settings of this room and see what we have. We can have a Logitech tap here, and I think we with Lenovo Compute, we can see what our audio device is. Nearby rooms is also really kind of interesting to be able to see why is it that we're having more problems with the third floor west side of the campus than other places. Maybe there's something going on the network side or something we need to investigate. So it's helpful to see from a trend perspective if we're seeing certain trends that relate to geographic location of the room. So on the health reporting. I have this ability. And then from a usage perspective, I can also get a sense of utilization in meetings, the percentage of the meetings that are online meetings, call performance, again, which we kind of showed you how we can kind of dig into call performance and go investigate, let's say a report that we had that, hey, there were folks in this room, they came back and said that somebody sounded really bad. We can go in and look at that and see that, hey, that wasn't the room, that was a user that was on, unmanaged Wi-Fi and a lot of packet loss, and it's explainable. Even as a partner to be able to go investigate that, and we may say that was user number 5, and we can share that with the customer. The customer could go into the real data and see user number 5 was Tom Smith, that kind of thing. And you could look at this over different date ranges, the last 7 days, the last 30 days, or a custom date range. If we wanted to go look at utilization, screen sharing, projection, that side, how much of that is being used in this room as well. Updates, and I'm going to go fast. I know we're getting short on time, but this is, again, super, super exciting. We can kind of see the updates that are in the process of being pushed out. So there's a 21H2 feature version update that is in the process, that it's moved through staging in general, and it's going to get pushed out. And we can see that there was something that had some failures in terms of an update being pushed out. Here you can see what completed. I can look at, again, past updates if I wanted to. I can see which rooms are in which ring, and I can define my rings here. You can see that our staging ring is set at 7 days, our general ring at 55, our executive at 60. I think somebody played with this on the last demo, because I think normally we're not waiting that long. We're normally, I think, about 7 days, between each ring. But I have that ability to go add a new ring and decide, get a description, talk about the rollout duration in days and test period in days. And again, this would be not impossible without this tool to go use, Intune and other, there'd be other ways to begin to kind of create this ring-based structure, but it certainly wouldn't be just easy for to just jump in, and having all of this built is really exciting. On the planning side, we talked about this ability that we could create standards. So I could create a standard for a medium hybrid room, and within that we could have a specific configuration, and I'm able to then update and share these standards. These could be shared with partners. We can discover configurations and then make a standard out of a configuration that exists in our environment. And I have kind of full inventory information here where I could go dig into a particular room and be able to see what's inside that room. So we can gather that inventory, and I can see in this Redshift room, this is a ThinkSmart Core, and I can expand this and see that it's a ThinkSmart Cam attached to it. We're using the built-in Lenovo Audio. I could add asset tags, and I'm going fast, but hopefully you're getting a sense that there's a lot here. Jimmy, this is
There's
more
a
than a 10 or 15
there's
minute demo, right? Yeah,
there's a lot here, and I think that the real key is this is data that a lot of organizations don't do. And a lot of this helps you as you're on that road and on that path to enabling more and more room systems. I mean, we had that slide. This is difficult, and there's some challenges that go in here. But I think what you see in this Pro Management Portal is really the idea that you can take a lot of this information and you can send it to your facilities team. You can send it to your IT teams. You can send it to all the teams that need to be involved to help you video enable those rooms.
great. There's some really granular role-based access control here, both for me as a customer, and again, to be able to delegate to my partner, to be able to give everyone who needs access just the exact right level of access to both the features in the rooms that they need to manage, an ability to create groups from our rooms. This again is where I could add a partner or multiple partners to delegate through the portal. And then we talked about this idea of ServiceNow integration, and that can be enabled. So I know that was a fast one. Probably didn't do it full justice. We could spend a lot more time, but I do think hopefully you got a sense, audience out there of some of the real capabilities here, and the type of, again, kind of proactive footing that having this tooling can put us on as we start hitting the gas, and trying to do it in a leveraged way where we're not having to add a whole bunch of staff. We need this type of tooling to be able to hit the gas, go big without having to, hire a huge team to support these rooms.
Agreed.
All right, so let's see. We've got a couple of minutes for Q&A, and let's see if we've got anything. It doesn't look like we have anything in our chat pane, so I just would encourage anyone who's on, if you do have any questions, don't hesitate to put those into Q&A now. If not, we may end up giving you a little bit of time back. But Jimmy, I'm feeling like I'm optimistic and hopeful that through this discussion, the folks watching are able to get a sense that Pro is really a good thing. We need Pro, and this is, and I as much as I kind of maybe illuminated some of the things I was most excited about with Pro, I do think your point around simplicity, because it wasn't that easy in the past either. I think having to figure out that, all right, we're going to a la carte this and add this on and add these and take our this, and having something. Another thing we didn't mention is that if we have a Teams panel outside the room, that's included in this license as well. And I know there's a separate new kind of lower cost option if you put a Teams panel somewhere where we don't have a room system, like you have it in a little phone room, or it's in the cafeteria or something. We don't have a room system there. But if you do have a room system there, there's no additional cost to add a Teams panel from a licensing perspective.
Correct. And the enrollment procedure used to be challenging sometimes for that premium portal. If you haven't done this in a while, and you see the Pro Management Portal, make sure that you're familiar with it. Make sure that you've tried to get it in if you're setting up systems for customers. And customers, make sure that your integrators, unifiedcommunications.com, are putting them into the portal for you. Make sure that everything's there.